compass. Actually, no, biologic should be 3 because you don't have any source. So you would have a number. If you were to use the Blue Moon Bladestone run, you would technically have a number of spell levels equal to 3 times however many runes you have. The catch is similar to like a warlock slot. You would have to be cashing in 3 levels at a time, like 3 spell level a time, because you can't drain partially one of your runes. You would have to use it all, like tap into all of its energy. So you'd be constantly doing 3rd level smites with it if you were the one that used the Booming Bladestone.
Pretty dank.
So I don't want to like make it. I don't want to make it like this is totally a fear thing. Although she definitely sort of, it is sort of her thing. Don't get me wrong.
She earned it.
But at the same time, I don't want to only like I wouldn't mind, because that's the thing. Lord Vistato isn't a spellcaster. He's not a Gish. So his capabilities of using the Blue Moon Bladestone would come from something more equivalent to like Ki.
Ah.
Oh yeah, he is a Fae, so he does have some magical energy control.
He has a name magical powers, don't get me wrong, yes, as a Fae, but
so it's not just like, oh, I get one-time smite. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but he's not a spellcaster, is what I'm saying. So, it's your guys' choice.
You earned it, Kirsty. You decide.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Oh no. Well, if you're not bothered, I can grab it, but that's fine.
Go for
So
it.
I feel bad for taking stuff, but
No, be selfish. Take it.
Yeah, it's cool as shit, and also you straight up earned it.
well, in that case.
As you begin honing your blade with the Blue Moon Bladestone, it begins humming with magical energy and does take on, true to the color in its name, a blue coloration to it, a pale blue coloration.
Ooh.
It sort of twinkles with like light, like almost like don't get me wrong, it glows to the point where I'd say it's like 10-foot light, 10-foot dim. So 20 foot. But it also does have like specks of like almost like stars, like that sort of gleam in and out of existence around it. And don't worry, when you sheath it, your sheath doesn't glow blue or something like that. That would be pretty hard to stealth with, all things considered. But
yeah, triple disadvantage on stealth now.
Yeah,
I am here. Points.
Yeah. Look at me.
Yep,
I
oh,
mean,
but
it
but
matches
the
my
opposite.
my aesthetic now, so.
I would be very, very legendary swordsman. Come at me, bruh.
True.
20 on 1. You should get 20 on 1. You should get 5 more, and then you might have a chance.
Here, I'll tie an arm behind me.
Is there like a wee handout for this, Crash?
There is. I'll make one after session, but
oh yeah, okay.
I have the stuff recorded. I guess it doesn't matter. You can't open Roll20 anyway.
No, I was gonna ask if you did already have one, if you would like copy and paste it or something, but if not, that's fine.
Nah. I just made that item up.
Very cool.
There we go.
So, you guys continue traveling. Catalina sort of whistling as your blade begins taking on a, blue glow to it.
As a side note, Ruhan,
Just
I
like-
believe last time you were excited because you saw some giant stuff, you ran directly into a trap, so... I think she could be a little excited that she got a cool whetstone.
I did.
Anyways.
You're so happy.
Just like glowing. She is glowing right now.
No, your sword's glowing.
Just like they're both glowing in different regards. You guys begin trekking out, and you guys eventually come across the terrain does transition a bit. It stops being hilly, and you guys do note that now that you guys can see past now, because the hills were otherwise obscuring your ground vision, so to speak. You can see the tree line, pretty easy when the trees go for 100 stories, right? Pretty easy. But as you guys clear out of the gentle grass hills that you guys were coasting between, you guys do enter out into a different area, a different zone of sorts. It's not flat. It's not perfectly flat. It's rather jagged, crystalline. Not reflective crystalline either. It's more like opaque crystals. It's, I guess in a word, it's polygonal. Weirdly enough, like a, low render for like a video game or a movie or something like that. Like the entirety of this landscape has been broken down into these crystal polygons that form it. Jagged ridges are just, particularly oriented triangles. Other than that, like the plains, I call it that. The plain itself is relatively flat, a bit different than the hills that you guys had just traveled through. Something like that. Not blue though. Like they're rather a dull gray color. I'm not talking like there's only like 7 polygons across the whole plane. Like that would be a really shitty low render for a movie or video game. No, it is pretty popular in terms of the amount of shapes it's allowed. But the thing is, that is the catch at the end of it. It is still just a shape. Sort of like that. Yeah, let me try to find something.
It's
Or
interesting.
maybe it's something more like that?
It's interesting. A spot in the
And
frame
more
where
like
it's not
something
so
like
colorful.
this.
Oh, okay.
Like a literal polygonal
okay.
rendering
Okay,
effect.
yeah.
So white dolphin?
Ooh.
I just looked it up. Oh, this is a really good. Why is the URL 20 billion? Whatever. I'll just download it.
Sipping tool. Just take a little
No, I'm just gonna download and post this. Stupid.
My hand is a dolphin.
My hand is a dolphin.
What? Hold on, is that a thing?
So something. It's from Rebecca Black Friday meme edition. Yeah, so something like that, right? Like this weird triangle polygonal based landscape. Except instead of like digital polygons, it's crystals. Crystals forming that sort of sleek surface that a polygon might otherwise look like. And I'm not saying that the triangles are all the same dimension either. Like there are differentiating dimensions for and squares and stuff like that. No circles though. No circles.
This is a very
like Minecraft.
interesting location.
What is this? I'll give you 5 points, Abby, if you can figure out. What do I get to spend the points on? I don't know. Varric whispers Abby. You gotta keep your sister poised. Right. I can hear that,
Can Rose attempt to do like a background check to see if she's heard of anything like this?
Sure.
I doubt she would have, but that's the best.
Maybe.
You know what? Actually, since we saw...
Fia, can you roll your background info? Oh wow, I forgot. Haha.
Let me just go ahead and just, log in.
See, that's how I remember. I turned it into a bit.
To be fair, if anything, she might have come across, like, shrines in the Twins, considering that's where we originally found that sword.
What sword?
From the first campaign,
Who said this was related to that?
Fair enough.
Nothing here is reflective, mate. This isn't the same place you're thinking of. 24. There are a couple legends which detail out places like this. I guess you call them glass fields. Although that is a term in the Meister's Academy as well. So maybe not even that.
For different reasons.
It's where they do magical testing and magical training, because everyone always ends up glassing the sand. with fire or lightning spells.
Yeah.
But anyways, I think go. No. Between you and Abigail, you both think about it. There's a number of legends which, as I just said, depict, sleek environments like this. There's the one that Garth is thinking of, the one referring to the Shattered Lady, which is now the Restored Lady, Venitus, which is a reflective, mirrory surface place, like sleek, like chrome, like the episode of SpongeBob. This doesn't have that sleek, shiny, reflective capacity. So neither of you think it's that. And you guys got in the same tier of success. So you both sort of begin thinking about, especially with power scaling, having just met Lord Vestato. You both come to the realization, which earns both of you 5 points, so thus the group has a total of 10 points. Go you. It's like some Dumbledore and Gryffindor shit, which is, I gotta say, feels bad for every other house. It's like you work your ass off, and then motherfucking Harry Potter kills the basilisk in the fucking sewers that none of us even have access to. Fucking 100 points. It's fucking bullshit, dude. Anyways, no, this is the domain of the. I will type it up. Oh, I sure has. I never typed out Lord Vestato. I think his name is pretty. Self-explanatory, but
VES
or not self-explanatory, but pretty Vestato.
Vestato, not Vestato.
Yeah.
So I thought it was close.
The Crystal Song Sage. You're noticing a trend with the terms crystal and song now, I hope. The Crystal Song Sage is a musician, through and through. He is a very rare thing in the Feywilds, a bard. Bards in the Feywilds are a both heavily respected but also distrusted, thing. Sort of like bards in elven culture, which is not too surprising given that they are cousins. Their species are cousins of one another. Distant cousins, but nonetheless. But yeah, so the Crystal Song Sage is a bard. Similar to you, like a scholarly bard. They can make music in crystals. They could devastate enemies with sound.
Uh-oh.
They aren't the crafters of the crystal song golems that you guys saw in Onibaba's Mist Forest. Not necessarily. Because that's sort of a thing, they are, I guess you call them the progenitor of that notion. The father of that field. Right? Like, there's a bunch of different people in psychology that have added to the field, but, just because you practice psychology doesn't mean you are one of them, right? Let's see, let me, what was your mother like? Suddenly I'm Sigmund Freud. Right? So, it's not like that. Like, they're a point of, I guess you call them knockoffs. Wannabes.
Why did you want to date me?
You sound super distant. Oh. I think your mic might disconnect. Oh.
Sigmund Freud's theories, yeah.
I think your mic might have disconnected. I think that was it. And now we can't hear you all at all if you are speaking. Someone's cooking bacon outside, and I'm really jealous.
Hey, is that better?
Oh.
Ah,
Oh, yeah, I can hear you.
You're louder, but
So-
you do sound like a bit more distant, or like still distant.
Yeah.
Oh, weird.
Are you in your car?
I am.
That would explain that. Yeah, it sounds like that. So, but yeah. How to put this? Remember way back in the first colonial campaign, you guys went to Crossguard Ridge,
yeah.
that fort town, and then you guys met the Alley Howl Ghoul,
Oh, yeah.
who literally could scream and kill you with sound by matching and ending the frequency of your heartbeat.
Yeah, that was painful.
which is what killed.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah, I'm
Nearly
pretty sure
killed
Bear
Bear.
got bit and just went. Ugh.
Yeah, yeah. So there is a sonic frequency by which your heart can be tampered with. Pretty fucking magical. The crystal songsmith could find your frequency pretty easily. Stuff like that, right? So thunder damage. I always imagine thunder damage is the baby, the little cousin, the little brother of sonic damage. And that's what the songsmith is like in charge of. I guess I say in charge of, but is cultivator of. Don't get me wrong, they're also a musician. So if you guys ever hear like dead ass, if you guys ever hear anything equivalent to dubstep in the Feywilds, you know you're nearby him.
Wub, wub, wub.
Fear the dubstep.
Yeah.
Oh god, is that Skrillex?
You don't see anything that would resemble the smith in question though around. But you and Abigail come to the realization of the crystal songsmith. Correct. 5 points for both of you.
Oh.
She looks around. I suppose he's out and about right now. Not too surprising given his bardic nature. Shame.
Glad he's not home.
Well, the problem is, does he have security set
delight.
up for people passing through?
He does, but we're not on the list, don't worry.
Okay.
Just don't
Oh.
step too far off the path.
Yeah. Yeah.
Makes note of where path is.
Being blasted to death doesn't really sound like a good way to go.
Abby told me you ran
It's
into
not
some sentinels mimicking his designs. You should know firsthand then what it would feel like. A
Ugh.
lesser version, perhaps.
Rose kind of like
Yeah,
rolls her
that
shoulders
was-
at the mentioning.
We dodged a bullet.
So,
Don't get me wrong, the songsmith is a delight to be around, but he is rather talkative in his own non-speaking way. Bit twitchy.
Is it a way
He's a bit
of
twitchy.
just you'll keep talking to him for the rest of time kind of way?
No.
Okay.
Just when one is a creature, and you guys are walking as she's describing him. When one is a creature in which sound is your repertoire, his voice fluctuates, modulates, comes from different places. It's a bit of an ordeal to talk to him.
Oh, I
Don't get me
you.
wrong,
I get
if you ever are lucky enough to hear one of his symphonies, you are truly lucky. If you're unfortunate enough to hear one of his cacophonies, woe is your soul, which may be shattered.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that's interesting.
We keep interesting company here. Now come on. You guys continue on. I rolled to see if he'd be around. You guys lucked out. I said lucked out. I'm not really sure if it's lucky or not.
Just
How do
gonna
you
be
missed
holding some food in his hand.
Yeah, I imagine you guys all have like a fucking like granola bar on your hand. Like, if you hide, you tell me first.
Just like wearing it around your neck and a little chain, like.
Which is a weird thing of like how Lord Vistato described it, right? Your food hides.
Yeah.
Your inanimate object food hides.
Mhm.
Crazy.
You're just
I think
standing
it's,
there
like,
looking at the
I
jerky,
think that's
look away,
super
look
fun.
back, jerky's gone.
I think that's a super fun fairy
Yeah.
thing.
It's a very
Mhm.
it's very interesting.
Hey, why,
Can't you just,
baby?
Can't you just like eat a tree though? Well, I guess that wouldn't exactly be tasty, now would it?
Yeah, on like that bacon they're cooking outside too. It smells so good.
Stop it, you're making me hungry
Don't tell me
too.
about bacon, no.
After we post-
Listen.
After we post the pictures of the English breakfast, dude. Ugh.
Ugh.
The thing is, I'm not sure if I'm gonna have a dinner break between sessions, so
Order yourself pizza.
probably just gonna. I might. Anyways,
That's a discussion for later.
you guys continue trekking onward and enter eventually into the towering tree line of Feywilds proper. In technicality, you guys are in the core of the Feywilds, which is where the Wild Fey reside. The external perimeters of it. I'll do it. I think I've already described this to some of you, but in case you've forgotten or in case I didn't. First off, I'm going to draw in a circle. The Feywilds are not perfectly circular. That's crazy talk. But I'm gonna do it for simplicity's sake. So the core of the Feywilds, where the wild Fey are, I should probably make this green. In retrospect, boom, it's green now. Yeah. This is where the wild Fey live. No, it's not the only place where they live either, but this is where
Predominantly.
they de facto segregate to.
And then like winter and summer would be there and there or something.
Something like that. So in this this is that don't at me on it. In this turning of seasons, summer and winter are constantly chasing one another. Their capitals moving, sweeping in a rotation. Sort of like a yin-yang thing. There are wild Fae that don't live here in the core wilds. They do live out in those areas, in which case they are subjected to the beauties and harshities of summer and winter, respectively. Why they do that might be out of they don't have a choice, or they do have a choice. Whatever, depends on fairy to fairy. In which case, all they gotta do is just not piss off the court. Then they're fine. They're free to continue their existence. So, like, seasonal fairies are in those areas. So, dryads. Dryads are a particular one that you might see. Because dryads are bent to seasons. But stuff in witches is permanently wild. So, obviously Cassavir and stuff like that. Some of these fairies here who have sort of, in the case of, say, the Crystal Songsmith, or Sage, my bad, Crystal Song Sage, glassed their environment to live in and stuff like that. They wouldn't really be, not welcome, but they probably wouldn't want to be constantly dealing with summer and winter circulating around. But that is that. Where are autumn and spring? You might ask. Autumn and spring are the vanguards for summer and winter. So these lines, I guess that you would see here, are spring and summer, or spring and autumn. Autumn heralds for winter, spring heralds for summer, respectively. So you guys don't have to worry about either in a day, a week, a month, a year, whatever time standard the Feywild uses. Some amount of time, eventually, the warm environment you're in suddenly getting turned into a frozen hellhole. Like, you guys don't have to worry about that here in the Core Wilds. Yeah.
So, what was their house like in the middle section, but just like its own area, and then we just walked out of it, effectively?
Effectively, yes.
Yeah. So they're a bubble inside that bubble.
Yeah, which is true to how the Feywilds works. Places aren't static in the Feywilds. They sort of shift around. It is up to a powerful Fey to plant their domain in a spot, and for other more powerful fairies to become planted neighbors in that spot. In, like, locking, anchoring to one another's domains. And then the Feywild sort of shifts around them and stuff like that. Or they can also choose to be like sort of like a feather on the water, a leaf on the water. Like, they're together, but they still flow around, but they're flow together, like two otters holding hands. Stuff like that. So it depends on fairy to fairy, power to power, and stuff like that. It's subjective. That's it. Do not mistake me. Cassavir is not, despite being one of the first fairies, he's not the center of the Core Wilds. He's not. Because that's the thing. It's not a perfectly circular domain. So, what is the center? Well, if you bust out your Pythagorean theorems and your algebra and geometry skills, you can actually find the exact center, and then, fucking whatever. Don't care. Laughs in 5 minutes when the Feywild shifts again. Have fun with those